All right. Hi, welcome all of you to the first year Aggie Advising webinar. Happy to have you all spend your afternoon with us. I hope we can address some of the questions that you have, and I hope that prepares you for your first year at UC Davis. I just want to introduce myself briefly. My name is Lucia, and I'm one of the academic advisors. And before we get started, I really want to take a moment to read our land acknowledgement. So if we can, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the land on which we're gathered. So for thousands of years, this land has been home of Potwin people, and today there are 3 federally recognized Potwin tribe, which are the Kachil-Dihi Band of Wintoon Indians of the Colusa Indian Community, the Kitsil-Dihi Wintoon Nation, and the Yocha-Dihi Wintoon Nation. The Potwin people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. It's been cherished and protected as elders have instructed the young through generations. So we're honored and grateful to be here today on their traditional lands. All right, thank you all for that. And now moving on to the agenda for today. All right, so this is going to be these are going to be the topics that we're going to cover today. I wanted to note that we're welcoming questions, and you can submit those questions using our Zoom Q&A features. You can also upvote any questions that other people have. And I just wanted to emphasize that we will be addressing those questions, but at the end. And I also wanted to note that to keep an eye on your chat, because we're going to be adding some helpful links to some of those resources. So just keep an eye on that. All right. So for the Aggie advising step, in the next slide. Thank you. Okay. So for the Aggie advising step, first thing that you would need to do if you haven't already done so is to create a UC Davis computing account. This is needed to access the Aggie 101 and all Aggie advising services. So after creating that, you would have to complete the Aggie 101, and I'm going to link that in the chat. In case you don't have that. And then also you will need to complete the College of Letters and Science Canvas advising modules. And I'll also link that as well. And then lastly, Aggie advising is offered through the College of Letters and Science. They're offering college Aggie advising webinars, and you get the opportunity to meet with a college advisor. They're both optional. I did want to note that the completion of the Aggie Advising Canvas program is required to access the appointment system, and also additionally to ensure the availability of all incoming students. Advising appointments are limited to 1 appointment per person, so it's important to be prepared for those meetings. All right, next slide. So for the academic advising at UC Davis, what's unique is it's decentralized, which means that you're going to be meeting with 2 different advising departments. The first is your major advisor, which is us. So we address any major and minor requirements and recommendations. We also help support with selecting major and minor classes and academic planning. And we also help support navigating major related research or internship opportunities, as well as career exploration. And then for the college advisors, that's the College of Letters and Science. Your Aggie advising and your first year advising will be with them, and they address any college and university requirements. For example, NEGEs, upper division and total units, as well as writing requirements and foreign language requirements. And they also help with permission to drop classes after the deadline. All right, next slide. I want to highlight our amazing staff advisor, who you'll get an opportunity to meet with one-on-one. during advising appointments. And then also sometimes you get the chance to talk to them during drop-in advising as well. All right. And I definitely want to highlight our wonderful peer advising team. You will get the opportunity to meet them in drop-in advising. They offer a wealth of knowledge for your major requirements, and it can be really helpful to get a student perspective on the classes that you might be interested in taking. And then Young Hall, this is where the Yellow Cluster Advising is located. So you'll definitely get to know this building. And if you have in-person advising, this is the building in which you will be going to. All right, I'm going to pass it to our next lovely staff, which is Padone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Padone, and I'm also a staff advisor with Yellow Cluster. So here's an overview of our majors and how many students are in our majors that we serve. So Yellow Cluster, that's just what we're named administratively. We advise for these 4 different majors: psychology, cognitive science, philosophy, and science and technology studies. So we serve a lot of students here at Yellow Cluster. Next slide, please. We have a lot of different majors and degree options. So here at UC Davis, we actually call a Bachelor's of Arts in AB, which stands for Artium Baccalaureus. It's just a Latin way of saying Bachelor's of Arts. So if you see AB, that's just the Bachelor's of Arts. And then we also have the BS degree option, so Bachelor's of Science. For psychology and cognitive science, we have both an AB and BS options. The AB options are general studies of those majors, and then the BS options, we do have 2 different emphases for each major. So for psychology, we have the BS quantitative emphasis and the biology emphasis. And then for cognitive science, for the BS degrees, we have the neuroscience emphasis and the computational emphasis. For philosophy and science and technology studies, we only have the AB degree options. We do have different emphases listed here. So philosophy, we have a general study, and then we have the pre-medicine emphasis and the pre-law emphasis. And then for science and technology studies, we have the different tracks and emphases listed here. We will be going to breakout rooms, and so we'll be going a little bit deeper into like what you can do with these majors, depending on what you're interested in career-wise. Next, please. So some of you may be interested in going to graduate school and are wondering if it matters if you should pursue an AB or a BS. And the short answer is, in general, the degree type doesn't matter. It's actually more important for you to complete the necessary prerequisite courses that you need for that graduate program. And so an AB should be sufficient if you'd rather choose not to complete the BS degree, because they do require a bit more STEM courses or some more natural and sciences units requirements. So a good strategy is to plan courses and co-curricular activities that will prepare you for that field and graduate program, no matter what your major is. And so that will definitely, help you become a better candidate for graduate school than just completing a BS major alone. Next slide, please. And so you might want to change out of our major or add a double major to one of our majors here. The earliest you can change your major or double is in winter quarter. You have to have a UC Davis GPA before you can switch. And then you have to be aware that some majors also have additional requirements that you need to complete in order to declare into that major. So you want to make sure that you understand what those requirements are so that you can prepare for that change if you are thinking about switching or potentially double majoring. And then you can always do that in OASIS. It is a change of major form. Next slide, please. And then if you want to double major, just a little bit more information, you definitely want to plan early. You can, again, double major, the earliest is winter quarter. And the rule is that you can overlap no more than 20% of the upper division coursework between the two majors. So that's typically 1 to 2 courses or 4 to 9 units. And you really want to meet with an advisor early if you are planning to double major, just so that you can see how it will impact your graduation timeline or plan. Next slide, please. And then within our departments, we also have minors. We offer minors in psychology, philosophy with a logic emphasis, and history and philosophy of science. And there's a lot more minors that you can definitely also explore and check out as well.
All right, thank you. I'll go ahead and navigate since I'll be showing you some demos. My name is Alyssa, by the way. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an academic advisor in the yellow cluster. And I want to talk to you about your fall quarter class schedule. I'm sure you're all very anxious about that and wanting to build a really solid fall quarter schedule. Our recommendations for you are, in general, aim to take about 15 units. Anything from 12 to 16 units is great in fall quarter. And we say that because anything more than 16 is going to really have a really high workload for you. And the Carnegie rule, the kind of rule of like how much work comes along with a class, is that for every 1 unit, you have 3 hours worth of work. And so, with 16 units, you're really, have a really high workload there, and you don't want to have more than that. So that is the recommended kind of unit guideline that we have for you. Within that, you want to take 1 or 2 classes for your major each quarter, just to make sure you're staying on track. The other classes that you take can satisfy other requirements, such as general education. As you get into your junior and senior year, you'll also need to take the upper division writing requirement and upper division units. You need 64 upper div units. And then, of course, you'll need at least a total of 180 units in order to graduate. And so we really encourage you during your first quarter to balance your course load with 1 or 2 major courses, and please try not to have more than 1 or 2 hard science classes in your first quarter. You want to be able to get used to the quarter system, which is only 10 weeks long. It's super, super fast. And you're getting used to the campus. It's a brand new environment for you. And there's lots of ways to get involved. So you want to give yourself a little bit of a cushion there. This example here at the bottom is just for, an incoming psych major. Psych 1 is the general psychology class that you have to start out with. That is 4 units. We also recommend maybe taking Stats 13, Intro to Stats, which is a science class, a math class. And so that's an additional 4 units. And it's really good to take Stats 13 before you move on to our Psych 41 research methods class for the psych major. So it's good to have that foundation in statistics before you move on. And then balance it with 2 other GE classes that are perhaps more along the arts and humanities or social sciences that are not too intense. That's just a recommendation. I'm sure you'll find lots of classes to look at and consider. Let me make sure I go on to the next page. But as you're thinking about your major requirements and what classes you have to take for that, we have some links here for you. So we have links to our major worksheets for all 4 of our majors. And then you can also find your major requirements on the general catalog. And finally, you can also find your major requirements in OASIS. You hopefully are familiar with OASIS already, having gone through Aggie 101 and the advising modules. But OASIS is our online advising system for students, and it's just at students.ucdavis.edu. Just going to the major worksheets, you can go to our forms page to find them here as well. And as you find your major forms, you can click on the link for that and you'll see that we have it divided out by Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, and you can toggle from there to the major worksheets. For the general catalog, we want to start. Thank you. For the general catalog, you can search by courses, you can search by programs to look at the specific major requirements. So just going to philosophy, whoops, not the master's. You want to go to the philosophy Bachelor of Arts. You can find some information about the major there, look at the requirements, and see that there's different emphases, which we'll dive into a little bit more. All right. So I'm going to demo Oasis degree worksheets so you can see how to use this really awesome tool. Before I jump into that demo, just some quick points. Oasis degree worksheets are a great way to track progress towards your major requirements. The degree worksheet includes an outline of those requirements. And at the bottom of that worksheet, it shows your major GPA, which is really handy. And you also have a really cool tool to like project a particular grade in a class to see what GPA you might end up with. Really fun tool to play around with. We also want to point out that the degree worksheets for your major do not include college and university requirements. Those are separate, and you can contact the College of Letters and Science advising office about those requirements and check out their website as well. All right, with that said, let's go into Oasis. So as you go into Oasis, this is what your homepage looks like. And you can see there's some great information about your advising offices and some advising resources. This is a test student, so the test student's under sociology. Don't pay attention to that. Also, there's some really important dates available here on this section, so please pay attention to that. You'll also see your past time appointments listed on this section. But to get to your degree worksheets, you simply click on the degree worksheet tab. And we have some saved worksheets for this test student, but for your first time, you're not going to see anything in here, but you will see the new worksheet option. And so if you go down to the new worksheet section under find a worksheet, click on that bar there, and you can go ahead and type in, say you are in the science and technology studies. Oops, did I spell that right? Science and technology, there we go. I didn't like the ampersand. So you can pull up science and technology studies, and then you can go ahead and click, you want to click the most current degree worksheet available there. And when you pull this up, you can see the major requirements are laid out. We divide it into two different sections, the prep subject matter, which is basically your lower division coursework. And it lists out classes that are required. For example, STS1 is your intro to science, technology, and medicine studies, and that is required for every single STS major. Then you have, your choice of 3 courses from this list. And then it moves on to the depth subject matter. And again, it lists out classes that are required, as well as requirements that are from a list that you choose from, et cetera, et cetera. And down at the bottom is your GPA listed down there. So if you know what major you are interested in, or you just want to play around with the different major options, I encourage you to use these degree worksheets to look at the major requirements and look at the classes that are listed within each of the required sections and see if you like it, try it out. Now, if you want to move on to a little bit more of advanced planning, we have what's called an academic plan in Oasis. That's under the Forms and Petitions tab. And I'll toggle over there. So again, this is a test student that has lots of examples here that you won't see. For your first time, you're not going to see anything in the ongoing forms, but you will want to go to submit a new form. Click on academic plan. And here you go. You have a fillable form that advisors can see and help guide you with, where you can give the plan a name. So if you were interested in the Psych AB, you can go ahead and give that a name there. The notes section is a great way to remind yourself of certain requirements. And basically, you can fill in each of the lines with what you anticipate taking in the future. So for fall quarter, if you want to take Psych 1, Stats 13, and then say, I don't know, you're interested in dance or music or something like that. You can find those classes like art history. I'll just pull up an example here of one class that you can pull in. You can also put in placeholders for like the longer, like more advanced planning for spring quarter or beyond. And so those can just remind you like, oh, I need to take my, say you take Psych 41 in winter quarter and you want to try Psych, an elective in spring quarter. You can type in that placeholder there. And so this gives you all 3 quarters for next year, but you can also add in, if you're interested in taking summer session classes, which is not required, totally optional. We have summer session 1 and summer session 2. And then you can also drop down to your sophomore year and you can build out your junior year and your senior year. So this is where you can really develop that academic plan to include all of your major requirements as well as your college and university requirements here, and pull those together. Just to give you a quick example, we have a psych sample 4-year plan with, you know, a slightly different arrangement, maybe taking a slower pace with those initial psych under like lower division classes, Psych 1, Stats 13, and then Psych 41, filled in with GEs and units that you need to take, and moving on forward from that. I do want to point out, if you see this little error symbol, this means that the course is not typically offered in that quarter. And so we encourage you to move it to a different quarter, see if it's available. Then some classes are not available every single quarter. So keep that in mind, especially for philosophy and STS, which are much smaller. We have limited faculty. And there's quite a range of different classes within those majors, but not every class is taught every quarter or even every year. So keep that in mind. All right, so that's how you can start your academic plan and start mapping out your journey for your 4 years at UC Davis. Before we move on, I just also wanted to share our resources for new students, for freshmen in particular. And so let me make sure I put this into the chat. Check out our website here. This has lots of information about different plans for the different major options. It also has some really helpful links for placement exams, which you'll need for if you start any chemistry classes, computer science, math classes, calculus in particular. So please check those out. Lots of resources to glean from this. All right, I'll kick it off to the next advisor.
Did you want to keep screen sharing, Alyssa, or do you want me to go back to sharing?
I can if you want.
Okay, since it's already up here. All right, so I'm going to talk about how to get involved in your major. Our majors have different clubs for each particular major. So for psychology, we have the Undergraduate Psychology Association, which is open to all psychology majors. Psych-I is a Psych National Honor Society. So you have to have a certain GPA and you have to have taken at least 4 upper division psych classes before you can join that one. So that would be a little while. And then there's a ton of other psychology and mental health related clubs that you can join. There's so many mental health related clubs. I don't even know the number. We have I don't know why I can't talk today. We have a fair that's out on the quad when school starts in September. It's like a get involved kind of fair, and all the student clubs will be out there with their tables. So you can walk around and look at all the different ones and see what looks interesting to you. For cognitive science, we have a cognitive science club that just got going again this last year, and they're very involved. So it's a really good club. And then for philosophy, we have 3 different clubs: the General Philosophy Club, GEMS, which is Philosophical Gender Minoritized Students. That one's pretty new. And then we also have Minorities in Philosophy. And then STS, we're hoping to get that club started back up. Next slide. All right. Another way you can get involved with your major is to do research with a faculty member. UC Davis is a Tier 1 research university, and basically every faculty member has their own lab. So we have a list of labs on our website, and you can become an undergrad research assistant for a professor, which is pretty cool. It looks good on applications, and it also gives you really good skills. We have a virtual lab tour, which is a video, and it's Professor Trainer's Lab. So that's pretty cool. You can check that out. You can do an internship. So those are typically not on campus, but some of them could be. So we have an internship and career center, which is its own separate office on campus. And we have the UC Center in Sacramento, which is pretty cool because you can get involved in government in the state capitol. And then we also have the Washington program. So you could get involved in government in the national capital, which is pretty cool. And then you can get units for both, and they help you prepare for your post-graduation plans or even your career. All right. And then the last, well, not the last way, but another way you can get involved is to do study abroad. There are a ton of study abroad opportunities, and UC Davis has made a real push for students to be able to study abroad or get involved in something related to study abroad. So if you want to study abroad, we will definitely help you get there. Study abroad's available for all majors, and these are actually 2 of our former peer advisors in these pictures. So these are people who have actually gone and done it. So yeah, study abroad is an amazing opportunity. Am I doing this one too?
Okay. So I got it from here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll be going over some resources that we have within the yellow cluster. So we are major advisors. So we do offer major advising. During your first year, you can access drop-in advising, advising workshops, and our email advising, because major advising appointments will be available to you beginning in your second year. So another resource or really helpful tool for planning out either a quarterly schedule or planning out your academic plan is the annual course schedules. You can see what classes we have planned for the upcoming year using those annual course schedules. And on our website, we also have a section for forms. Here you can find anything from forms where you can find your major, minor requirements, variable unit forms that are used for research and internship credit, incomplete forms, honors thesis forms, and anything like that. And then finally, we have some resources for career and graduate school exploration. Drop those in the chat as well. You can find, yeah, so this is a great resource to get started. So we have what can you do with a major? That's a really great resource where you can look into different industries, employers, and explore career opportunities. ONET, Career One Stop, all of these are great career resources if you are wanting to get started with that. And then we also have some graduate school resources if you're considering graduate school after graduation. And then next slide, please. So other resources that are available to you is through the Office of Educational Opportunity and Enrichment Services. There is pre-grad and pre-law advising. If you're considering graduate school or law school, this is a really great resource. They offer workshops throughout the quarter, and you can also schedule a one-on-one appointment with their advisors for more support. There's also success coaching that offer workshops on different topics such as time management, learning strategies, and these are held in South Hall. But yeah, you can definitely look at the OEOES website for more information on that. And then another really great resource for students that are interested in any pre-health profession is Health Professions Advising. They can help you get started and make sure you're completing your prerequisite courses for any pre-health profession, anything from dentistry to medicine to nursing. They can definitely help you with planning out the courses for that or anything along the application process. And then the Student Disability Center is a resource that provides services and accommodations for students as well. And finally, the Student Health and Counseling Services offer a wide variety of resources, anything from counseling to nutrition services, and a lot of great resources. Next slide, please. So what advising over the summer will look like. So as incoming freshmen, you will need to first finish Aggie 101 and the Canvas modules first. And then you can then meet with the College of Letters and Science Advising Office. So during your first year, you won't be meeting with your major advisors, but instead you'll be meeting with the College of Letters and Science advisors for any of your advising needs. However, we do have major drop-in advising, which is for quick major related questions. These are about 15-minute appointments, and no appointment is needed for drop-in sessions. You can just come in, and you can find the schedule here in the link that I will provide in just a few minutes. But you can find the schedule for drop-in there. So beginning in your second year, you can begin to book major advising appointments. And these are our emails for email advising for each of our 4 majors. So if you have any quick questions, you can always reach out to us via email as well. And I'll now pass it on to Joelle, who will be moderating a student panel.
Hi, yeah, I'm Joelle, one of the other staff advisors, and we have 3 of our student peer advisors here to talk today. So please provide a little introduction, your name, etc. Samira, would you like to start?
Yeah, of course. Well, hello, everyone. I am Samir, and I use he, him pronouns, and I actually just graduated nearly a month ago, which is unbelievable. And I've worked for the Yellow Cluster as a peer advisor, and it was an amazing experience. And I was actually a double major in psychology, AB, and cinema and digital media. And yeah, is there anything else I need to mention?
No, I think that's good. Nicole, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hi, I'm Nicole. My pronouns are she, hers, and I guess I'm going into my 4th year as a senior, and I'm a psych major, and my minors are anthropology and education. And besides being a peer advisor with the Yellow Cluster, I was also involved with a dance team called Sony One, and Sony One is basically like a K-pop cover dance team, and we just do like K-pop covers on YouTube. Yeah, if you guys like K-pop, we have auditions and coming up in September or in October.
Thank you. So everybody keep an eye out for that. Joe, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Joe. I use he, him pronouns. I graduated back in the winter, philosophy major. I wasn't probably as involved in the major as I should have been. I was involved in a couple different like political kind of organizations on campus, but I wasn't super involved with like the philosophy club or anything. I changed my major a lot.
Great, thank you. So the first question is, what general tips and advice do you have for incoming first-year students? So it's kind of a free fall, whoever wants to answer first.
I could go first. So I guess there are a lot of things, but I guess one of my biggest thing is like when it comes to meeting new people, I feel like I think most of you guys would probably be at the dorms your first year, and just like since many of you guys are like in close proximity, it's really nice to meet the people in your dorms. I mean, from personal experience, was in the dorms when I was in like during COVID. So it was like there was like no one, like I had my own dorm. So there wasn't that many people, but I know that like my underclassmen friends, like they have met a lot of their friends in the dorms. So I think just going out and just meeting yourself, and everyone is probably really nice because everyone's trying to meet new friends. So don't worry about that. And also like another way to meet other people is to join clubs and organizations, and especially to the ones that you're interested in, because and plus like those people also may have similar interests since they're in the same clubs. So I think being in those organizations would also be good to meet new people.
Yeah, so going off what Nicole said earlier in the last part, where joining clubs and organizations, that's a really good way to like meet people that, are like-minded in a way. And I think that's the best thing you should look for. And also, as Joe mentioned earlier, how he changed his major so many times, that's very common. So that's very, very common in the college setting. So what I wanted to say is that, you shouldn't, if you don't know what you want to study or what you want to major in, don't worry, you don't have to know that immediately as soon as you step in. So like take the time to like explore what you find really interesting, because then you're going to spend the next 4 years studying that, and that's all you're going to be studying, especially in your last 2 years as you take like your upper division classes. So if you find something that you're really passionate about and you find really interesting, just take this time to explore that and meet people who are interested in similar things that you are. So yeah.
And I would also add, it's like totally okay if you want to explore. Remember, most classes have a 10 or 20-day drop period. You can always sign up for classes and check them out and see if it's something you're interested in. And then if it ends up just like not working out, you can always drop within 10 or 20 days.
Thank you so much. So kind of going off of that, what are some things you wish you had known in your first year at Davis?
For me, it's definitely passing a class. I've heard about it when I was a freshman, and I was always like worried like it was a bad thing if I did that. But like just recently, and I especially from being a peer advisor, just kind of seeing it like from that perspective, like it's honestly okay to pass a class. I mean, obviously there are some restrictions to that because like some major classes may want you to have like a grade, or if you want to take a class specifically for like grad school or med school, they may require like having a grade for it. So then that's when pass is not okay. But for example, if you were just taking it as maybe like a GE, for example, it's not the end of the world if you decide to pass. If you, I don't know, yeah, just to like reiterate that passing a class is like if you instead of opting for letter grade, like having a C, you can have a C and like still like pass the class, so and it wouldn't affect your GPA. That's like the biggest thing to it. And yeah, it doesn't really penalize you. Like I feel like it helps your GPA if you don't feel like you're doing as well compared to like maybe your other classes, for example. But yeah, just just don't be too worried about it, I guess.
Mine's gonna sound very silly because I generally couldn't think of an answer for this question, but I think I wish I had known that there's so many wonderful people here at Davis because like, I ever since I came, I've just met like the most incredible people. Everyone's just so down to earth and so kind, and they're willing to help you out, especially if you're new to campus. So yeah, just get ready to be, inundated with so much goodness on the campus, and that just inspires you to become a better person. And so I think for me, it's just like I did not expect that, just be sort of overwhelmed by all of that, and then just like kind of making myself question that, man, I think I have a lot to learn as a person, not just as a student, but as a person. So I think that's one thing I wish I knew.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have much to add. Um, I wish I knew what I wanted to study when I came to Davis, but yeah. Besides that, I think everything everything that like I wish I had known in my first year has kind of been said.
Yeah, totally. So what major specific tips do you want to share with incoming first year students?
Um, I will say if you're doing like the bio emphasis, or if you just plan on taking Biz 2A at any point, make sure you take chemistry first. And also don't take Biz 2A in your first quarter, because I did that and that was a mistake.
I mean, it has been emphasized already, but I do want to reiterate, even though technically for when taking your lower division classes for psych, um, so I recommend to like just to take stats 13 before psych 41. Like even honestly, even if you kind of already unless like you like did your AP stats and you got your credit for it, I think like I've personally like stats 13 really helped me for psych 41 because there was a lot more statistics in it, and there was just like some vocabulary that if I didn't take stats 13, I probably would have been like, what is this? And I feel like that was a big contribution to like my to what I did, how well I did in the class.
Yeah, I think I mean you have a lot of time to do this throughout your entire like academic career, but essentially maybe like if you can try to find experiences outside of the classroom, if you can look for like clubs or like any research opportunities, that's a great way of sort of applying what you learn in the classroom. And I feel like it'll help you sort of get a better understanding of the concepts that you learn in the classroom. So yeah, I'd say just like, try to, again, like I said earlier, like, yeah, try to find people and opportunities that will just help you sort of grow as a person and sort of just broaden your knowledge on your major and what you're studying.
Yeah, thank you. So to kind of call back to Nicole's like taking stats 13 before psych 41, do you have any other advice to share about selecting classes for fall quarter?
I think well, I was again already said about like I think exploring, like if you want to explore like, but if you're not into like not into the major, if you're still like deciding for sure what major you want to do, and like you can definitely like take that time in your especially first quarter, like taking GEs about like certain fields that you might be interested in, and then that will like and that will give you like an understanding of what you want to do. For me, I took, well, it was a major requirement, but like Ant 1 was one of the major requirements for psych, and I took that. It was again also kind of like a GE, but also like a major requirement. But like that led to me like really enjoying like the class, and I ended up majoring it at some point, but then I decided to minor. But I still like was interested in the subject, so I think like like you might be overwhelmed about like this certain GEs and you have to complete this checkbox, but like try to like think about what classes or what fields you may be into and if they fall, because chances are they will fall under like one of the GE requirements.
Yeah, I think just to kind of expand a little, I think if you're looking for like good fun GEs, I would look at anthropology because there are a lot of like really cool sounding classes in anthropology.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just kind of reiterating what both Joe and Nicole said, just like, and what Alyssa said earlier as she was going through like the academic plans, just having a balanced schedule because it is the quarter system and it's like 10 weeks. It's very fast. So just the best way to do it is to like pick like at least three classes in your first quarter. That way you could adapt better to the pace of the quarter system, and then later on you'll get used to the rhythm of it. So I feel like that's something I'd probably advise on that.
Oh, actually, yeah, I just remembered. I think a first year seminar is usually like 1 or 2 units. I don't know if that was mentioned yet. I don't think it was, but like if you don't want to have that 16 unit, like maybe because you need 12 units to be a full-time student. So in theory, you can do like 3 classes, which is 12 units roughly, and then you can do like a first year seminar, which is 1 or 2 units, which is 13 or 14 units. And just if you're worried about the workload, that's what I did my first quarter, and it was also like to like a topic I was interested in as well. So if you are worried about the workload, then you should definitely try considering a first year seminar.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a couple of questions left. What does a typical day look like as a UC Davis student?
I mean, it depends on on what classes you're taking. I've It's different for every quarter, honestly. Um, like depending if you like have classes or the gaps between your classes. Like sometimes if I have like a 2 hour gap between my classes, then maybe I would actually no, 2 hours I would still stay on campus, maybe try to do some work somewhere on campus, and then if it's like a 3 or more hours, then I would definitely like go back to my apartment and then maybe take a nap or something. But honestly, yeah, compared to high school, it's not like it's like the like from like 8 to like 3 or something. It's like your own schedule. So you can honestly choose in what way you want to do it. You can either like go get like food or you want to like study or like you want to go home. Like it's really up to you. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, it's really easy if you wanted to like not have a class on Friday and then have like Thursday be your Friday. I would also recommend avoiding those like really long gaps between classes because those can be kind of inconvenient sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, again, both Joe and Nicole nailed it. It varies, and it really depends on, what classes you choose and how you want to structure your schedule. But I agree with Joe. Just if you can avoid those long gaps, please do so because it's not fun, and then you're kind of like stuck in a limbo as to like what you can do with all this time. And so, yeah, if you can avoid that, that's a better thing to do. And also you can just take this time to like, yeah, like Nicole said earlier, like just study, maybe catch up on some of the work. And yeah.
Thanks. So what are your favorite places to study?
It's not on campus, but I like Phil's a lot. Mostly for their coffee, but also because it's a good place to study. The library's pretty cool. You could maybe study in the Arboretum, depending on what you have to study. Um, Also the MU.
Yeah, and I really like the second floor of the library. That's usually it's pretty quiet. It's well, sorry, let me rephrase that. The fourth floor of the library. Usually it's very quiet. There's like barely any people there. So if I really want to concentrate, that's a good place. But if I want it for like I just want to like be where around people and to have like a peaceful ambience to it, then like I'd say like the MU or the Student Community Center is also a good place. I tend to I used to go there a lot. So yeah, those are mine.
My favorites are definitely the TLC, which is the Teacher Learning Complex. It's a new building as well, and I think it's really nice because like there's like these like tables, and they also have like outlets under. I mean, it's not that comfortable, but I like it. I used my first, I mean, in my second year, I did enjoy being at the student community center because there was these orange chairs that were comfortable, but the desks were very small, so I kind of got over that. Yeah, I also agree with Joe that the MU is also a good place. There's also like a lot of outlets there, and every time you go in the MU, there's a lot of students there. But I feel like, yeah, so it's kind of, you don't know if you'll find a place, but for the most part, there is always like one or two spots, and they have like outlets everywhere, so it's good. And it's also near like the Coho, which is where all like the foods are. So if you want to grab something, you can get it there.
I just remembered the Pete's Coffee at the Silo is also a really good place to study.
Yeah, I've been there too. It's nice.
Okay, so our last question is, what are some of your favorite activities or ways to get involved on campus?
Honestly, I wished I was a little bit more involved in campus, not gonna lie. Because for my dance team, I've been there for like 4 years, or it's gonna be my fourth year. So like I've spent a lot of time on it just because it was kind of a big time commitment. So yeah, I wished I had another like activity I did, but low-key, I don't know. I love dancing, so
Yeah, kind of going off of Nicole's, I do wish I got involved more in some campus activities because like I mentioned earlier, I was also a cinema and digital media major. So I mean, I love making movies. So I found this club on campus called the Davis Filmmaking Society, and I just spent all my free time there with all my friends, and we just like do a bunch of fun activities together. So most of my like free time was there. But now in retrospect, I do wish I was involved in more activities. So yeah, sorry if I don't have a good answer to this question.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer at all. I really wasn't that involved.
It sounds to me that you were actually all involved, so please, you're okay. Thank you so much, all three of you, for your answers today. It gives us a lot of insight what it's like to be a UC Davis student. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we'll bring it to like our Q&A session. There are a few questions in the chat. Let's see.
And Joelle, I see a lot of major specific questions that will be answered in the breakout rooms. So maybe we'll just focus on very general questions and then go to the breakout rooms.
Yeah. There's a question, how familiar should you be with stats to take Psych 41? Is that better for a breakout room, or do we know the answer here?
I think
Do you? Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think Nicole's response earlier about, how taking stats provides a really good foundation, not just for the vocab, but for, the practice of it, that you'll be applying those techniques in your research methods class. But as Nicole said, also, if you did like AP stats and have credit for it, you don't have to retake it, and you should have a strong enough foundation to move on to 41.
I do want to add that I feel like compared to Stats 13 Sec 41, like I think Stats 13 did go a lot more in depth about statistics. So like Sec 41 it's not that deep, but you definitely need at that foundation of statistics. But yeah, like a lot of things that were like, for me, like there was some like really difficult things in stats that wasn't applied to Sec 41, thankfully. So yeah, it's not too bad. I don't want to scare you guys.
Okay, so there's a question, how do you schedule the math placement test? So maybe.
I can answer that if you like.
Oh yeah, I was trying to pull up the link at the same time, but I cannot do two things at once.
It's all good. Once you register in the placement exam or in the course that you need, you will receive a prompt to register for the placement exam for that course. So for example, if you are registering for Math 16A, the calculus class, you will be required to take the placement exam for it, and you will be prompted to register for the placement exam after you've enrolled in it. You can certainly check out our section here, our website on those placement exams for incoming freshmen. And so if you go to the specific area, like say we go to the math placement exam website, you can find out a whole bunch of information about the exam. It is online. And then they have information for newly admitted freshmen for fall. And so there's specific dates and times. So they did have an initial period for incoming first years in May, but for those students who are registering later, you can also do the manual registration for fall quarter, and there's a session in early September and more towards the end of September, early October.
There's a question, how would a student who wants to work on campus through work study go about achieving that?
Good question, and that's a really good question for financial aid in particular. We're definitely not experts on the work study process, but I know that there is some sort of form that you need to fill out to indicate. And I believe when you accept your financial aid package, there should be the option of if you want to accept your work study funds as well. So just be sure to follow up with financial aid about that question and what steps there are. You do have to, like, there's the part of accepting the funds for work study, and then you have to go find a campus job. So those like two distinct steps. And once you find a campus job, like as you're searching through the internship and career center, look for those jobs that say that they have work study funds, and then you can apply for those positions. And if you get it, then just follow up with your new supervisor about that process.
And then how early can you start to look for research opportunities? Can freshmen start right away? I'm more familiar with transfer students. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, students can start looking at research opportunities right away. Some labs in psychology, for example, will require that you have taken a certain class. And so some research experiences are more geared towards junior or senior level standing and having taken some of the upper division classes. But others, you can totally start as, you know, a lower division student and earn Psych 099 units for that experience as a lower div, you know, as you're in your freshman and sophomore year, and get that research experience, and then you move on up and to like higher level kinds of research assistant positions. as you go.
How can we book the one-on-one with counselor regarding course selection/suggestions?
Great question. Yeah, the College of Letters and Science Advising Office is who you are able to book an appointment with. They will have a webinar with some information. I think it was July 24th. You probably all received that message today. I got it in my inbox today. So look for that. And then let's go to the college website. I have the link. Let me find it really quick, or maybe I'll Google it, because things are pretty easy to Google, and this is a good skill to demo to all of you incoming first year students. So I'm just going to Google UC Davis College of Letters and Science first year. Oh, I think I even have it popping up because I've gone there quite a bit recently. And you can see here, advising for newly admitted students. They have some great information. Again, you need to finish your Aggie 101 first, and you need to finish your Aggie Advising Canvas modules first, and then you'll be able to access the appointment system. And this is their information on how to meet with an advisor in the college. So I know that the exact link is in your Aggie Advising Canvas modules, but it's also just appointments.ucdavis.edu. And then just make sure that you click on the College of Letters and Science Advising option. All right, well, we do have some breakout rooms for major specific information. And are there any other like general questions that we should address, Joelle, before we move to that?
First question. No, I think everything else was major specific.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go to our breakout rooms. And just to clarify, psychology will stay in this main room, and then philosophy and STS, because there's so few of you, you'll have a breakout room, and then Cog Sci will have a breakout room, and we'll provide a little more in-depth information on your major requirements, how to find those major requirements, what classes, all of that. All of those very specific questions will be answered in this next section. So I'm going to open those rooms. Oh, someone opened them.
I just did it.
Thank you. And you should be able to self-select to join the room if you're Cog Sci or philosophy and STS. And for psych, just stay here. We'll get started once folks have kind of all joined appropriately. All right. For psych students, thank you for sticking with us in this session. I'm just going to toggle to some slides here. And we have some advisors supporting this. And now I can't remember who was going to take what slides.
Yeah, I could start out with this slide. Yeah. So for our psychology major, there are a couple different emphasis options. So for the first one I want to highlight is the general emphasis, so that you will get an AB degree, which is also known as the Bachelor of Arts. So with this major, there's a lot more flexibility in terms of double majoring or focusing on social, personality, and development psychology classes. And we say it's flexible because just in terms of how many units you're required to take for the major. And this option is also great for those who are interested in counseling, therapy, clinical psychology, and also teaching. And then for the next one is a BS degree, biology emphasis. And this one, there are a lot of science and math classes such as biology, calculus, chemistry, organic chemistry, and physics. And it's not limited to only pre-health professional students, but a lot of the classes mentioned are really tailored to those specific grad school program. And yeah, so there's also, it's definitely a good option for those who are also interested in research careers. And then lastly, we have the quantitative emphasis. which is statistics heavy, especially in the 4 upper division statistic classes. But this is a great option for those who are interested in research and data analysis.
And just to answer a couple of the questions that were focused on the different emphases, I'll just say that, whoops, let me go back. That for forensic psychology interest, you know, if you really are more interested on the biology side of forensic psychology, you can choose to focus on the biology emphasis, which includes chemistry and OChem. But if you're more interested in behavioral analysis, the Psych AB may be a better fit for that. Similarly, for sports psychology, the AB might be a good path if you're wanting to do like sports clinical psychology. You can go on to get your PhD in clinical psychology and practice that way. But of course, you may be like, depending on how you want to apply and use like that knowledge in sports psychology, you may want to take some science classes along with that. So really, you know, you can also choose from the Psych BS bio, just how much science do you want to take and how much will you be using it in your career. Yeah, let's see. And then there was a question about taking chemistry as a freshman. Depends again on what emphasis you are interested in. So if you're really interested in the Psych BS bio, as Lucia was saying, which is really great for pre-med or pre-health careers or like really research focused careers, you do need to take chemistry, but you don't have to take it in your first quarter. You know, I would definitely wait a minute before you take it. And you can certainly start in winter quarter or spring quarter, or even in your sophomore year to take chemistry. You don't have to take it right away. Sorry, Lucy, I didn't mean to take over. I just wanted to answer some of those questions.
No worries. Yeah, for psychology, you're gonna see that regardless of the emphasis that you choose, you are gonna be taking courses from these core groups. These courses are organized into 4 categories, which is Core A through Core D. And you can see Core A is the perception, cognition, and cognitive neuroscience. And then Core B is the psychobiology, and then the Core C is social or social / personality, and then lastly is the development category. So for the general emphasis, it's more general, like I mentioned. You're going to be taking a lot of these different courses, and then if you choose the biology path, a lot of the core classes you're going to take is more psychobiology, but you do have the opportunity to take classes from all of them. And then for quantitative as well, it's just it's more specific in terms of how many of these core classes you have to take versus a general psychology degree. And for the major worksheet, I know earlier Alyssa showed us how to access those worksheets and how to utilize them in your OASIS profile. But I know right now it sounds like a lot of information, but when you get the chance, using that degree worksheet is really helpful. It really divides all of these requirements for each of the emphasis, and you can take a look at what does a preparatory subject matter entails in terms of each of the different major, and it breaks down all of the requirements for upper division. And yeah, so and then the next one, let's see. The courses that are listed in the major worksheets are very specific. You'll see that if you have to take statistics, it'll be noted there, but then it also lists some alternatives that you can take, or those that are cross-listed as well. And it also breaks down into the core requirements, as I mentioned, the Core A to D. And then lastly, it will mention the unit requirements for each of the categories. And so just specifically talking about general, for the upper division, you're going to see it says like 40 units. And so that means you have to complete 40 units of upper division for the psychology major degree. And I promise it all makes sense when you take a look at these degree worksheet, and when you meet with advisors, or if you join the drop-in advising, our peer advisors definitely walk through this with you.
Yeah, we can take a quick glance right now of the Psych AB just as an example.
Yeah, thank you.
Word. So for the prep subject matter, just as Lucia was saying, these are the specific classes that you need, and there are some options listed within that line. So you can certainly take Stats 13, but there's also Stats 13V, which is a virtual option. And then there's also Stats 100 if you've already got a strong foundation in stats with AP stats and you want to move on to 100, that's great. You can take that here. Or Psych 12Y, which is data visualization. That's an option if you are stats adverse. But it is really recommended to take Stats 13 if you can prior to 41. And then for your biosci classes that you have to take, for the AB majors, if you haven't really had any chemistry foundation, we recommend taking Biz 2B first, or doing the combo of Biz 10. We call it Biz because the subject code is BIS for biological sciences. It's not business. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse anyone there. So the biological sciences 10, and then one of these three options, the Anthro 1 that Nicole was talking about, or a couple of other options. The biological sciences 2A, also known as Biz 2A, is definitely much more chemistry intense. And so we do not recommend that as your first course. Joe was talking about that too. Don't take it in your first quarter. And if you take it in the future, just make sure you take Chem 2A first. It really requires that chem foundation. For your depth subject matter, how to read this worksheet. Basically, you choose two of the groups that you're most interested in, of the core groups that Lucia just showed us. Take 2 classes each from those 2 groups, and then take 1 course each from the remaining 2 groups. So the way I like to explain it is you can choose to take, it's, mix and match, but say you're interested in doing a clinical psychology degree in the future and you want to become a psychologist. You can probably be more interested in the social personality and the developmental aspects. So you take 2 from C, 2 from D, and then just 1 from A and 1 from B. But again, it's very mix and match. And then for your psych electives, well, we have a slide for that. We'll get to that next.
Yeah, so what counts as a psych elective? Well, what counts as those are any upper division psychology courses. So you definitely can use those core classes that you've seen, but they can't be the ones that you've already taken to fulfill the core requirements. So if you like any of those classes, you are more than welcome to take additional classes. What happens is after you satisfy those core courses, they'll just roll down over to your major electives. And other ways in which you can get psych electives is this opportunity to do Psych 192, which is internship units. You can also get elective units if you participate in research. The ways are 194, which is like the honor thesis, and then the 199 is the research units that a lot of students partake in at UC Davis. And then there's the Psych 198, which is the study abroad. And then lastly, what also counts is courses from an approved list of psychology electives from different disciplines. So it's a great way to take classes outside of the psychology department. And from students I've talked to, they really enjoy these types of classes. And it's great that it can count towards your psychology degree.
And this list of approved electives in different disciplines is on the second page of the major worksheet PDF.
All right, I mentioned Psych 199. That's a way to get research credit for your electives, but in general, this is you can definitely participate in psych research opportunities. And we have a webpage that explains the detail on how to get started, or even how to start researching some of the labs that you're interested in. So yeah, we have tabs in how to search for the labs, or you can even take a look at the faculty webpage, as well as look at the certain locations of where their labs are located. I feel like this is a great way if you know that you're interested in research, this is a great starting place to kind of look. My recommendation is always look at 1 or 2 labs, read about the types of work they do, and it's a great way to take a look at their webpage. And then if you feel comfortable, I always encourage reaching out to those professors and inquiring about what their lab is about, and then also just asking if they are taking any students. But it's a great way to get connected with other professors on campus.
Oops. Sorry, I went too far. All right, so we do have some additional questions, and I want to make sure we get to kind of like the most pertinent ones that would apply to a lot of people. Let's see. I think one of the latest questions that is really good is about, let's see. How do you know if you chose the Psych AB or BS before the first quarter? Just to clarify, everyone is put into the BS option when you come into Davis. Unfortunately, our system is just not smart enough to know which one you may have selected on the application for the UC application. So regardless of what path you are interested in, if you want to do the AB, you're going to start out in the BS technically, and you have to change to the AB in winter quarter. If you want to stay in the BS, that's fine. But if you are wanting to do the AB, go ahead and start taking the classes that apply to the Psych AB major. You do not have to start taking any science classes. You don't have to follow the BS major requirements. Just choose the major classes that apply to the major requirements for the AB, if that's the path you choose to take. And then in winter quarter, as we've mentioned a few times, that's when you can go ahead and submit the change of major form to declare the AB, and it's really simple. There's also some questions about what classes to pick, and for the GEs, does winemaking count? A really fun question. Yeah, any of the GEs that you want to start off with is totally fine. Just be sure to check with the College of Letters and Science if you have questions about those GE requirements. Let's see, if you're still planning to, or still considering whether to go to the BS or the AB, maybe, start out with, of course, start out with Psych 1, and you still need your stats. So those are 2 good classes for your fall quarter. But maybe in winter quarter, if you want to try out a science class and see if you feel comfortable with maybe moving into the BS, that would be a good strategy. And I would encourage you to check in with our drop-in advising if you want to talk more about those options. Let's see, are there any first-year seminars that are psychology related? Yes, usually there are a few psych professors and lecturers who offer first-year seminars that are psych related. So you'll want to go to the first-year seminar website to check out the different options available and see what those are. I don't have them memorized right now, so I'm sorry. What classes apply to AB? Again, as we've mentioned several times, you'll want to go to the major worksheet for the major that you are intending to pursue. So for the Psych AB, this is that major worksheet here. And again, you can find it under our forms website. And I'll put the forms website into our chat here really quick. And simply scroll down to the psychology form section to the major requirements. And then you can toggle, AB or BS, and you can find the major worksheets there. All right, let's see. When will I be able to pick out classes? Do we get assigned a date? Yes, if you have watched or gone through the Aggie 101 and the Aggie advising modules, that should give you guidance on when your registration dates will be posted and how you can find your assigned dates. But to answer it briefly, basically you go to you can find it in your schedule builder when you log into schedule builder, or in your Oasis on that homepage. As I had mentioned before in the kind of intro to how to navigate Oasis, you'll also find your past 1 and past 2 registration dates listed in the important dates section of your Oasis homepage. All right. I think I might be getting a little lost in the question, so I'll let another advisor step in case I've missed any critical questions. How are you looking, advisors? Is there anything critical that we should answer?
I did see one question. It's like, are labs open to freshmen? I think they missed that part of it, which is okay. I think Alyssa mentioned earlier that everyone's welcome to inquire about research opportunities. We never discourage from that. I think it depends on the lab. They might have certain requirements. Yeah, it's usually for students who are like juniors or seniors, but there is an opportunity to get, I think, research credit for it, which is Psych 99, which is lower division. But I would say, definitely reach out to those professors and see. It's never a bad thing to connect with other professors and see if you can participate in research studies.
There was one about, do classes run out of seats, or are seats reserved for first-year students? There are definitely some classes that have reserved seats for first-year students and are typically the ones that you need to start out in your major or with certain GEs. So rest assured, you will have plenty of ability to get into the classes that you absolutely need. But that doesn't mean that you get into every single class that you want. Not all classes have reserved seats. And so just keep that in mind. Again, for your first quarter, you can take it slow and it will be okay. Whatever classes you end up choosing, as long as they are balanced, you're going to be just fine. And for what classes you take for the psychology major, again, please go to the major worksheet that we showed on the forms. Those are the classes for your major requirements. And you can watch the video again. We have the demo on how to read your degree worksheet, how to create an academic plan, how to create a balanced fall quarter schedule. So we are just past time. We'll have to end it here. If you have further questions, we encourage you to go to our drop-in advising, which is open in the summer. And as long as you've created your UC Davis email address and account, you can join the virtual drop-in advising for our majors. So let me go to that and give you the link really quick. Oops, here we go. That's our drop-in advising website. And you can see our hours are listed. We are virtual only in the summer, but we will have some in-person times when fall quarter starts. And the link to join the virtual front desk is right down here underneath the schedule. So check that out, and we look forward to seeing you and helping you as you prepare to register for classes for fall. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end, or, oh wait,